What are the best Norwegian black metal albums and how do they influence the current metal landscape? Welcome to Metal Forge Reviews, where you get the most out of your metal releases. Burning churches, murder, corpse paint, goofy music videos. These are the things that we think of when the Norwegian black metal scene comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those are things that we here don't personally really connect with, but there's no denying the impact that Norwegian black metal has had on the modern black metal culture. There's some fantastic talent that has come out of Norway, and we are here to talk about it.
In this list, we pick our essential Norwegian black metal albums. Some of these are unconventional, but we think that they made a huge impact on the culture. What are your favorite albums for Norwegian black metal? Let us know in the comments. With that out of the way, let's hit our grim and frostbitten list.
If you couldn't tell by our cover of Damned in Black, we really love Immortal. This is why we musically wanted to do the song justice, while having some fun with the theatrical aspects of the genre. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Immortal, you are in for a treat. Their catalog is really quite diverse, with very raw albums in the earlier stuff that are contrasted with more sonically polished albums in their later years. One of the aspects I love about Immortal is how they write their songs. The songs always feel very deliberate, yet structurally accessible. Being a guitar-focused band, there is no shortage of incredible riffs throughout their entire catalog. Vocalist Abath brings a hollow and remarkable style to this genre with his voice. And if you ask me, he has one of the coolest voices in black metal. Like most bands that have been around for decades, their catalog represents a growing sound, but Immortal has never lost their touch for strong songwriting about chaos, coldness, and blizzards. I am most drawn to their late 90s, early 2000s material, so I would say start with At the Heart of Winter if you've never heard of this band, and work your way through to 2002's Sons of Northern Darkness. Those albums really represent my favorite era of Immortal, but I mean, you can't go wrong with any of it. Immortal absolutely deserves a spot on this list.
First one on my list is Emperor in the Nightside Eclipse. Everyone in modern metal, especially those who love progressive metal, knows Ihsahn. The fact that Ihsahn was in his teenage years when he was composing for Emperor is nothing short of mind-blowing. Like, seriously, why? The atmosphere on this album is completely unparalleled, and this is one of those examples of the album art completely nailing what the album sounds like. The icy, atmospheric keyboards weaving in and out of those relentless black metal fury riffs and the cosmic black metal screams are completely spellbinding. The album sounds like if you were to press it to your skin would actually feel cold. Few black metal albums feel completely masterful as this one. When I think of Norwegian black metal, In the Nightside Eclipse is one of those that is completely genre defining. I also love that Emperor was not as involved in the highly negative component the scene is known for, with the church burning, suicide, self-harm, and murder. Not all about that noise. It was strictly about the music. Love this record.
The early 2000s are when I started discovering black metal bands that really spoke to the type of music that I connected most with. When Dimmu Borgir exploded with Death Cult Armageddon, I found myself more drawn to Dimmu's guitarist, Galder, and his project, Old Man's Child. Their 2003 and 2005 records, In Defiance of Existence and Vermin, were heavily played on my way to and from band practice or in the parking lots of local gigs that we were playing. In Defiance of Existence features drummer extraordinaire Nicholas Barker, and both albums were mixed and mastered by none other than Fred Nordstrom. Choosing Old Man's Child inspired me to go back to their early stuff and try it on for size. And man, Born of the Flickering is just an incredible release. It's a total treasure, with absolutely devastating tracks like Swallowed by a Buried One, In Funeral, Swords, and Souls. Awesome stuff. 1991 was a time when black metal in Norway was still finding its footing in etching its archetypes into the rune stones of the genre. I dare say that Galder deserves a spot as one of the godfathers. His earliest work showcased many of the archetypes that other bands would utilize in their sounds for years to come.
Next one on my list is Enslaved, Vikingler Vidli. Enslaved are an interesting band, as their early career is some of the finest black metal ever written, and their later catalog is some of the finest progressive metal ever written. Snapshot in time, when this album came out, it was 1994. Varg was in jail, Euronymous was sadly gone, and other black metal bands such as Mayhem, Darkthrone, Immortal have released some of the most influential black metal albums to date. I almost picked Frost for this slot, but to be honest, I feel like this record built upon their previous releases and paved a completely new sound for Enslaved at the time. Personally, if I were to pick a favorite Enslaved record, it would be Below the Lights, but there's no denying for this period of Norwegian black metal, this record was extraordinary at the time. One other thing to note here is the production compared to other black metal albums was a lot cleaner. Fans of Enslaved's later work may not like the earlier albums, but the fans of early Norwegian black metal will find a lot to love here.
This is an interesting band to talk about because, as we all know, Ulver has not really done black metal in quite some time. As far as anyone is really concerned, Ulver is no longer a black metal band. But wait, we're talking about influential albums from Norwegian black metal band. And how dare anyone talk about Norwegian black metal and exclude the first 3 Ulver records? How dare they? I really wish Nathan's Madrigal had similar production to Bergtatt, because the sonic qualities on Bergtatt are absolutely perfect for what this band does. The drumming performance of Eric Lancelot is absolutely exquisite, and the sonic qualities are so good that it sounds like you're in the room with the band. I love the writing on Nathan's Madrigal a bit more than Bergtatt, but it's tough to listen to with those super shrilly guitars. I really miss the punchy acoustic drum kit sound that the band really deserves. Ulver has always done their own thing, and I applaud them for that. I love practically everything that they do, and there's no doubt that the band has left a legacy on their fellow compatriots in the black metal scene.
Next on my list is Windir 1184. Out of all of the Norwegian black metal bands, I feel like Windir do not get enough of the attention that they deserve. Hold your critiques, black metal fans. Most people love the masterpiece Arntor, which I do appreciate that album, but the production and compositions on 1184 are far more captivating to me. This album is legendary among Norwegian black metal. There's Viking imagery throughout all of the sounds, and actually revisiting this album is part of why I'm currently trying to grow out this beard and achieve Viking status. This album is unbelievably atmospheric with its use of distorted black metal riffing, clean vocals, and layered synths. I would argue that the central part of what makes this record so captivating is the atmosphere created by the synth. The drum work is tight, amazing, and you can feel the weight of that kick drum underneath the buzzy guitar tones and huge keyboard melodies. A total black metal masterpiece and a huge landmark in Norwegian black metal history. Check it out if you haven't.
Borknagar was created by Øystein Brun with the intention of starting a melodic outlet in the black metal scene that would push the boundaries of the genre and add more progressive elements into the music. Once the lineup was solidified, featuring members of Gorgoroth and Ulver, the band was signed almost right away to Malicious Records and released their debut self-titled record on August 3rd, 1996. Since the late 90s, Borknagar has basically seen a rotating roster of who is who in the Norwegian black and folk metal scene. They're basically a supergroup. Borknagar's presence in the Norwegian black metal scene has really shaken things up. Øystein and his crew cleared a path for bands that wanted to be melodic yet still cold. It showed bands that wanted to be relentless in their performance didn't have to disconnect their humanity from the music. Borknagar is a staple in the Norwegian black metal scene for me. Their early work is an absolute treasure to the genre, and they're still killing it to this day. This was a band that I could not pass up talking about in this episode.
Next on my list is Darkthrone, ablaze in the northern sky. Arguably one of the most important black metal records ever written. The lo-fi artwork and production, evil song titles and lyrics, everything at the time this album was released was completely ordinary compared to Ablaze in the Northern Sky. Other bands were going for top-notch production, where Darkthrone was going for grim and evil, favoring lo-fi production with poor recording techniques. The magic here is unbelievable, to be honest. A great example of a piece of art that doesn't necessarily need to be overly produced to make a lasting impact on culture. This record was a reaction to the direction death metal was taking at the time, with polished sounding recordings, and I absolutely love this album for that reason, in addition to the fantastic songwriting throughout. This record is bleak, maddening, and it makes you feel like your blood is slowly freezing as you experience it. In a lot of ways, Darkthrone were the anthem of rebellion. Next time it's freezing and cold and dark outside, drive around with your windows down and this record blasting. Let the darkness and ice envelop your soul. Hail Darkthrone.
Another band that has some similarities to Borknagar. Arcturus, Norwegian composer Sverd, got together with his homie Hellhammer and was like, dude, let's start a band! Or something like that. That's how I imagine it probably went. The band's 1994 debut EP and their 1996 full-length are absolutely phenomenal pieces of art in the Norwegian black metal scene. Again, with the lineup reading like a who is who in the Norwegian black and folk metal scene. I think this band is unfortunately regarded as a bastard stepchild in the Norwegian black metal scene, and I'm here to push back against that narrative. While Arcturus may not hit a 10 out of 10 on every black metal trope, they have some of the most talented musicians that Norway has to offer. Hellhammer, need I say more? Sure, they're whimsical and silly, and sometimes it sounds like you're listening to a Muppets Gone Metal soundtrack with all the theatrical stuff going on in the background. But behind their steampunk silliness, there is some incredible songwriting that is constantly pushing the narrative forward. And I think they have bands like Ulver, Borknagar to thank them for guiding them along this journey.
Next one on my list is Taake, Borderlands Dødsgvad. Taake are another band I feel like do not get enough credit in the Norwegian black metal scene. This album marks their third full album release and the conclusion of their absolutely majestic black metal trilogy that makes Taake among the greats in the genre. The production on this album is more on the clear side, which I love, but the riffs are so icy and bleak that it remains one of the most powerful Norwegian black metal albums of their career. This album is amazingly written and recorded borderline perfectly for what it is. The songs are ridiculously catchy, which is rare for a black metal band in this style. There's even chants, which I thought was very interesting for the compositions, but make no mistake, this album is still freezing cold as well as majestic. The folkish harmonies throughout the album are a nice touch, a stunning black metal record that deserves a spot with the greats. Pure cult, much grim. Listen to this album.
What are your top 5 essential Norwegian black metal bands, friends? Let us know in the comments.
Thanks for liking, subscribing, and commenting. As always, go with the gods, our brothers and sisters of the Fords. See you in the frozen north.